Hello everyone, we are living in very interesting times, peculiar times, somewhat scary time, but more curiously than this, we are living in a time where we have plenty of time, an abundance of time, and with an abundance of time comes a bounty of conspiracies. That's right, even though governments and experts and the media are usually during times like this pointed the finger at, blamed at for fear-mongering and spreading panic across the general public, it's actually ourselves that come up with the most outrageous, ridiculous and scariest of stories. And when the government and experts and the media look to debunk these stories to add calm and ease tension across the general public, this actually adds validity to the conspiracy, because now they're doing this in the new narrative of a cover-up, to cover up the truth. But what is the truth? Today we'll look to seek the truth, and we'll go through a list of the crazy and outrageous conspiracies, but also go into greater detail of the conspiracies that have got the most traction. According to a YouGov poll, 1 in 5 Great Brits believe in the most common and the most popular conspiracy that the coronavirus originated in a laboratory in Wuhan, which is the epicenter of where the virus originated from. Now, even though it's the most popular myth that these scientists were genetically mutating bats and not either accidentally or purposely allowed the virus to spread into the general public for a multitude of reasons, it's not the one that we believe the most. No, the conspiracy and myth that we over here in Great Britain believe the most is that 32% of us believe that we can use vodka as a hand sanitizer. That's right. Put all the hand sanitizers to one side, guys. We don't need to stock up on those. Just stock up at your local off license on vodka. I can see why you want this conspiracy to be true. I mean, it gives you a reason to have more vodka in the house. But where is the science behind it? I just don't get this one. It's another one where I'm just like, oh, why? Why do we believe this stuff? Unfortunately, it gets worse. Other unfounded claims were spread across social media, as apparently a message that was sent to all NHS staff stated that apparently if you drink water every 15 minutes, it's going to completely flush the virus out of the system. Yep, that's right. All this talk about vaccines and cures, it turns out the answer is simply water. And it gets worse. Apparently, all these tests that we need, you hear these talking about, we need more tests, we need more tests. And I did a video on it about how we need more testing to have a greater insight as to how we can tackle the virus. It turns out we already have a test, and the test is just simply holding your breath for 10 seconds. And if you hold your breath for 10 seconds and you feel no discomfort whatsoever, it means you, my friend, have tested negative for coronavirus. What's most disturbing about this claim is that 1 in 6 of us believe this is true. That's right, 16% of Brits believe that 1, if you just drink water every 15 minutes, it will flush through your system, and 2, if you hold your breath for 10 seconds without any discomfort, it will mean that you are testing negative for coronavirus. And guys, it gets worse. Yep. 4% of us Brits believe that eating garlic bread will prevent you from getting coronavirus.
Garlic bread, you're joking! Garlic bread in my mouth!
I'm trying to rack my brain as to why anyone would believe this. 4% of us believe that eating garlic bread will stop us from getting coronavirus, to a degree that some woman in China went to hospital with an inflamed throat because she ate 1.5 kilograms of garlic. It's just insane. Who is believing this stuff? There's some guy out there that's just like, I'm just write this. Who you believe this shit? Turns out 4% of us Brits do. It's becoming ridiculous. Why are we not thinking? Why are we just believing whatever is read on social media? It's just ridiculous. But unfortunately, it still gets worse than that. That's right, because 1% of us Brits believe that if you just get on the phone, call up your local drug dealer, get some cocaine shipped in and sniff cocaine, that will stop you from getting coronavirus. I mean, I could probably guess who was making up these types of stories, you know, trying to maybe legalize cocaine or something for a short period of time. But come on, 1% of us believe that cocaine stops you from getting coronavirus. Now, I was about to take my hat off and say, do you know what, at least only 1% of us believe that crazy, ridiculous story. It turns out 18% of us said we're not sure. It could be true, it might not be. 18% are not sure whether having cocaine will stop you from getting coronavirus. I mean, where does it end, guys? Where does it end? So, as conspiracy theories started spreading across the internet like wildfire, there are several misguided rumors about the connection between COVID-19 and 5G networks. Now, this is because COVID-19 was believed to have originated in Wuhan, China in November. Coincidentally, this is the exact same time that China turned on some of its 5G networks, and that's what enabled this particular story to have a bit of traction. What actually made it completely kick off and go full steam ahead was when Kerry Hilson, a very popular American singer who has 4.2 million followers on Twitter, I might add, started spouting a number of tweets about the alleged connection between coronavirus and 5G networks. Now, I'm going to go slightly easy on those of you that actually believe in this particular rumour, only because it has the scary word in it of radiation. Now, radiation is only really scary if you don't truly understand what it is. So I'm going to shed a little bit of light as to what radiation is, so then when we look at the actual real details and the evidence that support this particular conspiracy, we can see it just has no legs to stand on. It's just based on the fear of radiation that's actually perpetuating this particular story. Now, some radiation has a strong enough energy to split apart chemical bonds and DNA. That's known as ionizing. That is dangerous because if outside forces can split apart DNA and chemical bonds, then that can mutate and eventually becomes cancer. And that's why lots of people are scared of high levels of radiation. But what we're talking about here is non-ionizing radiation. This is very, very low levels of radiation. What often happens when we talk about this word is that we conflate the difference between radiation and radioactivity. Radiation is just simply a transmission of energy through a medium. For example, light is radiation. Here are some other examples of radiation. Heat from a stove burner, that's radiation. Visible light from a candle, that's radiation. Sound waves from your stereo, also radiation. Microwaves from your microwave oven is also radiation. So as you can see here, radiation is not the thing to be concerned about. It's about the levels of radiation. Now, the type of signals your phone emits is microwave radiation. It's very, very low on the electromagnetic spectrum, and therefore it's considered non-ionizing. Microwave radiation is much less powerful than visible light. That's right, even visible light. We're talking 1,000-fold difference between microwave photons and visible light. It's known that visible light is non-ionizing because if we look at the fact that majority of us have TV sets in our homes, if visible light was ionizing, then there'd be a correlation between those of us that watch TV and those of us that have cancer. In fact, majority of the population in the world would have cancer, as most of us watch TV. So the fact that it's less threatening than visible light should give an indication that the stories that you're hearing that people have dropped dead from 5G networks is just completely unfounded. Once you also look at the evidence that we've been looking at, that some of the countries that coronavirus has been most prevalent in, 5G networks don't even exist. For example, South Korea and Japan, and even Iran has very little 5G networks, and yet it's very, very prevalent in Iran. even if also you take into account the timeline of coronavirus, we all pretty much agree originated and started in China. Whatever conspiracy you believe that it came from there, most of the stories, if not all of them, say they started in China. However, 5G networks had already been activated in the US before China even activated their 5G network. So if there was a strong correlation between 5G networks and this radiation and coronavirus, then essentially we would be saying that coronavirus started in the USA and not in China. So in conclusion, what it really brings me to start thinking about is that none of us are thinking. Like, how long have we been like this, in the sense that we just don't think? Have we always been this way, or has the internet and technology and social media allowed us to get to a point in which we can just see it more because we're able to hear more people's opinions? Even the argument to suggest that this particular form of man-made virus is to control the population. Well, if the aim was to control the population, why would you make a virus that 80% of people recover from? Why would you make a virus in which it's basically killed less than 1% of the world's population? Why would you create a virus in which, if you're young and you're healthy and you have a good immune system, that you survive, or you show little or no symptoms? If you are creating a man-made virus, there's one thing that I genuinely believe humans are definitely really good at, and that is killing each other. We are extremely efficient. We have a great track record, a great history in being able to kill each other. So if we created a virus where the full intent was to create some kind of population control, the levels and the death rates and the mortality rates from cases of people getting infected to actually dying will be far greater than the numbers that we're seeing right now. And again, it just plays into the narrative that people don't think. Just look at the numbers. How could you possibly say that this is a population man-made virus when it's not killing off hardly any of the population? Just do the basic maths. It's very simple. But we live in a world right now where people think for us. People think for us. Where information is continuously given to us. We don't have to seek information. But what we need to learn to start doing is choosing which information we choose to allow to come in and seek into our system and into our brains and into our brainwaves and into our minds. We're not being very selective. We're being very open and allowed all information to travel in unquestioned, unchecked. You know, we talk about the borders, our borders. Everyone's coming into our borders. There's no questions, there's no checks. They're all allowed to flow in. Well, you're doing that with your brain. You're allowing all this information to flow in unchecked. All this information, that's all undocumented information flowing through, and you're just not putting any border patrols in your brain to question it and say, hold on a minute, that doesn't make sense. I'm denying you entry into my brain. We need to start doing that, because unfortunately what we're seeing in some instances is that some of these rumours, some of this misinformation is also allowing people to make very, very bad decisions. If you have people out there that are sanitizing their hands with vodka, you are not protecting yourself. If you have people out there who are eating a kilo of garlic, they're causing a great deal of harm to themselves. People are doing dangerous things based on false information because there's enough people sharing it, tweeting or liking or talking about it, and talking about it in a sense that it must be true. We need to really be more analytical. We really need to be far more skeptical about the information that we receive, especially on social media. So hopefully this particular video has helped debunk some of the theories that you might have had and brought to light some of the ridiculous stories that are out there. But please guys, please be careful, please be mindful, stay safe, stay home, and I'll be back very soon.